Yo, dude, check out this new custom keyboard. This keyboard has a really cool feature at the top. Just make sure you don't look at it directly. Why not? Alright. Anyways, this keyboard is called the Grid 650 and it's one of the most unique boards I've ever built. The keyboard was sent to me by Grid over 3 years ago, so we're just in time. Let's take a look. The Grid 650 comes in 3 separate boxes. Firstly, an accessories box that includes some foam and some hardware to add a battery if you want to convert this keyboard into a Bluetooth keyboard. In terms of accessories, I kind of wish that this keyboard came with a little bit more, maybe a keycap puller or a switch puller or maybe even a USB-C cable. The lack of these things just made it feel a little bit more inaccessible for people just getting into the hobby. The next box contains one of the mini modules for the Grid 650, and this is one of the main selling points of this keyboard. One of the very unique features of this keyboard is that it offered different modules, and the modules range from a simple plain cover to a phone stand to wave designs to even a screen. This module is called the flash module and is an LED light strip that looks absolutely incredible. And of course we have the board itself, and there's a lot to talk about here. It comes packed nicely in some custom wrapping paper, and once we take it off we can take a closer look at the board. The Grid 650 is a 65% board, and the first thing you'll notice about the board is that it has some very large bezels. Aesthetically, the board has a very round design and it gives off a very retro vibe. The machining of the board is great. It's really well built. The E-white is really well executed and looks amazing. And when holding the board, not only does it feel really smooth, it's also pretty light. The side and back profiles are very pleasing to the eye just because of how smooth it looks. One feature of the Grid 650 that made it feel even more retro was the indicator light on the bottom right, and it really reminded me of the older MacBook designs. On the back, the board has a power switch slider to swap between Bluetooth and wired mode, a USB-C port, and also a USB-A port if you want to attach your mouse. But that got me thinking, what else could I connect? This is the greatest keyboard ever. Oh my god. Oh my god. Taking the board apart, we can see that the Grid 650 comes with an aluminum plate and a soldered PCB which already come attached to the case. This keyboard uses a gasket mount system that uses these silicone covers that are sandwiched between the top and bottom chassis. The plate is also secured onto the sides with these 4 screws. On the detachable back piece, we can also see that there are 3 layers of felt attached onto the back. The really cool part about this is that the felt was actually replaced with porn foam in the later versions of the group buy, meaning that I actually have quite a rare version of the Grid 650. In between the plate and PCB, there's also a layer of felt, which I believe has also been replaced by Poron in the group buy version of this board. So for the stabilizers, as usual, I'm going to be using the APTX stabilizers, and so far these have been absolutely great for me. Stabilizers are the most important part of any build, and it will make or break your custom keyboard. I used to not spend a lot of time on my stabilizers, and it resulted in me ruining a lot of my custom keyboards. So please learn from my mistake and make sure that they sound as good as possible. As usual, I started off with some wire balancing, lubed them with 205G0 and dielectric grease, and after a little bit of trial and error and some back and forth, they sounded really good. And after that, I also wanted to swap the module to the flash module. And the process is actually really easy. All you have to do is unscrew 4 screws from the top case, slide it out, slot in the new module, connect it to the main daughter board if it's required, screw it back onto the top case, and it's done. So for the switches, I did a little bit of research, and the board has a very nice thocky sound signature. Did someone say thock? Say that again. Thock, you know when the keyboard has a deep sound signature? I know what it means. I'm just wondering why you're still using the word thock. It's just an easy way to describe how a keyboard sounds. I don't know why it's such a bad thing. That's a stupid reason. Okay, fine. What about clack? That is also dumb. Okay, well, do you have any better suggestions? Bonky. No. Chonky. No. Funky. That's a music term. Gaping. I'm concerned. Okay, I got it. Throbbing. Okay, maybe thocky isn't so bad. For the switches, we're going to be using some Gazoo Boba U4T tactiles that have been lubed and filmed. These switches have a very crisp tactile bump and bottom mount. They're some of the best tactiles I've ever used, and to my knowledge, they're still pretty up to date. I hope. And with the switches attached, all we now have to do is solder them in, and we can move on to the keycaps. So I actually spent a lot of time thinking about what keycaps to put on this board, and ultimately I decided to go with the GMK 8008 keycaps. The bright, punchy pink and black color scheme goes perfectly with the modern Grid 650, and when you turn that lighting module on, it's something else. It's so cool. the Grid 650 offers a lot of value and unique selling points. I really love the idea of being able to swap the top modules to fit whatever you're looking for, and not only does this increase the longevity of the board, it also makes the board much more adaptable to different aesthetics and styles. In terms of how the keyboard sounds, it actually sounds pretty nice, but it sounds even nicer with the tape mod just to get that deeper sound signature. However, I do have two main issues with the board. The gasket mounting technically works, but it's not as flexible as I would like it to be. I always prefer a mounting system with a little bit more flex, so the typing experience is a bit stiff, but again, this is completely subjective. The second issue I have with the board is that it's a little bit difficult to customize. The board was not VIA compatible, so I had to go online, find a Reddit thread of some guy who had the same issue, download some files and install them, and only then was I able to actually use the Grid 650 in VIA. The keyboard is priced at around $400 to $500, which is a bit expensive, but honestly, I think you really get what you pay for. If you would like to get one yourself, well, too bad, because the keyboard sold out 3 years ago. But I have good news. Grid has recently released their Grid 100. It's a customizable macro pad, and in typical Grid fashion, there are just way too many options, but it looks absolutely sick. I definitely recommend that you guys should check it out. I might also buy one myself, or, you know, Grid, hit me up.